Hello and welcome to the finals of the Indoor Archery World Series on Compound Saturday. I'm Karim Bashir and I'm here to guide you through this entirely remote production of the finals with teams shooting from the USA and in France. They're trying to compete for a slice of a prize pot of 5,000 Swiss francs. Joining me as always, it's Archery Stato, Chris Wells. Chris, we've had two fantastic semi-finals to get the teams here for our finals. Tell us about those.
Yeah, two very different semi-finals, of course, as well. Arc System came out guns blazing, shot the 12 ring from the very off in that first semi-final. Didn't look like it was going to pay off against Estonia, but eventually they came through. Nicolas Girard, really the MVP, the MVA of that first semi-final, that first match we saw today, and dragging his team into this final. Second time round, Team Eastern, very experienced team, up against the young hotshots also in the USA. Team Eastern, slow and steady, wins the race. Just shot the 10 ring all the way through, and it was enough. And a last arrow that didn't quite hit it from their opponent team. So Team Eastern, will that approach be enough in this final?
Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? And a fairly unique format for the Indoor Series finals. And the 12 ring has already come into play.
We saw it with all the different strategies, didn't we? The every end we're going to shoot it from Arc System. The kind of back and forth from Estonia. Only Robin Jatma really went for it at the end of the match. Team Eastern basically ignoring the 12 ring unless it was necessary. So it's a cool format. I think it's interesting. It gets us to see some more of these archers shooting with the individual matches before the team decider. But after all, both of the matches we've seen so far really come down to the last few arrows. Even if it's taken a while to get there, it's really building up to a tense decider.
Yeah, well, I think it's time we did have a little bit more detail in those rules. Let's take a look at the format and the game rules. Here is the game format. Two teams of 3 archers each, and they will break down into pairs for 3 individual matches. If you win your individual match, you gain a bonus point for your team. A match that's drawn gives a point to both teams, and those bonus points are added to the start of the last match, which is the team match. Over 4 ends, of course, as normal, with the archers shooting alternately throughout the team, and that will take them to the top of the podium in this finals match.
And all of our matches today are still going to be taking place over the standard distance of 18 meters. As Karim said, 4 ends of 3 arrows long, 12 in total, and it's total score that matters. So ties are permitted in the individual matches, but not in the team.
Yeah, not yet, and we haven't had a shoot-off yet, but this is the target we'll be using, the triple spot in the triangular formation. The idea, as normal, is to go for the centre of the target, the 10 ring, which measures just 2 centimetres in diameter. And to make it more exciting, we've got the return of the 12 ring there, the white spot just 15 millimetres wide. The archers must declare their intention to shoot it prior to drawing their bows, and it can only be used a maximum of once per end. So an interesting format. It's already proved to be very entertaining, with different tactics being played in both of the semi-finals by the 2 different teams. But here are the teams for the finals. Let's go first to our lineup here for the finals. Team Eastern on the left up against Arc System. As I said, Team Eastern in the USA, Arc System in France. Team Eastern's individual lineup of Chris Schaff, Linda Ochoa-Anderson and Rio Wilde will shoot their individual matches in that order against Lola Grandjean, Adrian Gontier and Nicolas Girard. Should we go and meet them, Chris?
I'd like to meet them. We've seen them already, but hopefully they're still around.
Well, they've had one go already at this format. Here are Team Eastern, Chris Schaff, Rio Wilde and Linda Ochoa-Anderson. Are you ready for the final, guys?
Ready as we're going to be.
There we go. Well, you just stay there for 1 second while we bring in your opponents. Arc System in France. There they are. It's Lola Grandjean on your right, Nicolas Girard on the left, and Adrien Gontier in the middle. Are you ready for the final?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Both teams are ready. We've already seen the lineup. So, Chris, do you have any final words for both of the teams?
The same again, guys. We're going to start with the higher seeded team in each of the individual matches. Team Eastern as the top seed and the top qualifier for this event. You will start first in each of those individual matches. So Chris Schaff, Lola, you guys can get ready to shoot the first match. We'll have a little bit of a longer chat, Karen. And when you guys are ready, we'll come straight out to Chris to kick us off. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck indeed. So, Chris, we mentioned this prize pot that's been made available by World Archery. How's that divvied up then?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here, Karen. There's percentages. It's about 45% for the winner and about 20% for second place. I'm sure I'll get a message now telling me exactly what the figures are. But, you know, there's just over 2,000 Swiss francs on offer to the winning team. Only cost 50 francs to enter this tournament this year. We're trying to get as many teams involved as possible. It's a little bit of an opportunity for brands to get some exposure as well as countries. We've had teams from Estonia. We've got 2 companies going for the win here, Eastern and Arc System, and also a scratch band of young guys, the hot shots that took part in this final. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth putting some effort in, and you know, you don't want to pass up some cash. 2,250 Swiss francs to the winner, 1,250 Swiss francs to second place in this match.
I'm glad you managed to stretch out your answer until someone sent you the correct prize pot for the winners. Fantastic stuff, and definitely worth going for, and a good opportunity after 12 months of not many opportunities for many of these archers. But we are ready for the finals today on Compound Saturday. Let's go to match number 1. Well, here we are, Rio Wilde's home. Chris Schaff on the shooting line to get the final underway. Not a bad start. Bottom left target for Chris Schaff. Lola Grandjean in Dijon. Will they cut the mustard in this final? Also just clipping the 10 ring. So just going right there.
C'est déjà sans pas de chance. Allez, la dernière talon, ça.
All tied after these first 2 arrows. Chris Schaff sticking that Eastern strategy that we saw in the first game. Not going for the 12 unless necessary.
Yep, finishing with a 29. It can be matched by Lola Grandjean. So going for the 12 right away.
Oui. Yes. Nice.
And just clipping it by the looks of things, Chris. And Brave from Arc System again calling for the 12 in the final arrow when really they needed a 10 just to draw level.
That's what we've seen from this team in France so far today. Go for the 12 at any opportunity. Hitting in this first one of Grandjean, just as she did in that first match, that semi-final earlier on, and it again gives her a 2-point lead. We spoke about this in our semi-finals. Would Eastern's strategy of slow but steady be good enough to win this one, especially if Arc System are going to ramp up the pressure and go for those white dots early and often? 2-point lead after the first end, 31-29, and it might force a change in strategy from Eastern.
I think you're right, and I think that this whole thing about the Arc System being brave and bold and going for the 12, when really if they'd gone the 10, which is just ever so slightly easier to hit, and they practice more regularly at it, they would have drawn level. So being brave and bold at this stage, I think, will force the Team Eastern out of their steady approach, their solid approach, as you described it in the semi-finals. It's already time for end number 2. Not wanting to rest on their laurels, Chris Schaff, captain of Team Eastern, just getting things right underway straight away. A load of Grandjean with the lead, shooting second. So opportunity here for Schaff to close the gap. Well, it has done by 1. Very solid.
I've always appreciated Chris Schaff's slow and steady shot. Really talented indoor and outdoor archer, one of the first to unite the indoor and outdoor circuits. And that 12 in the first end, even looking essential for Lola Grandjean now. She drops another 9 high.
Yeah, all square as things stand. Chris Schaff not going for the 12. Certainly didn't see an indication. But straight in the middle, and that's why a perfect 30 in our second end for Team Eastern and Chris Schaff. And no surprise from Lola Grandjean, going for the 12 again.
Hey.
12 points, mademoiselle. Again, their practice in that semi-final, all 3 of the French archers has really dialed them in on the 12, and it's another 12 for Lola Grandjean, and, well, a tied score, 30 apiece in the second end, waiting for confirmation. Chris, the 12 is, well, it looks like Arc System's friend at the moment.
Different journeys, same destination, 30 points, even though Lola Grandjean shot 2 9s. I mean, yeah, 2 out of 2 to start this final, and she's needed to stay ahead. But a questionable decision in that second end when she was, needing a 10 to tour level. They've decided they're going for that 12 each and every end, and they'll sink or swim on it as well.
They certainly will. It did look, when we got a very brief glimpse, that the 2 archers were ready on the line and the ranges were safe to shoot. So let's go to end number 3. Or not, perhaps. There we go. End number 3, Chris Schaff shooting first. Trailing by 2, but solid as ever. Chris Schaff straight into the centre of the bottom left target. Lola Grandjean maintaining a 2-point lead coming into this third end. This goes off to the left again. So just clipping the 10 ring there. Chris, you talked about Schaff's consistency and your appreciation for his process. It really is exceptionally solid.
Yeah, and it seems like Chris has been around a long time, but still a relatively long guy. mid-20s, won some big titles already.
Grandjean. Go on, Chris, after you.
Continues her run at the little white dot.
Oh, now that is very, very close indeed. Well, I think that's going to be called out. Chris, you're the expert.
Well, it's difficult to tell. We're used to that 20mm 10 ring, and the white dot's just a tiny, tiny bit thinner, just 15 millimeters. It's difficult to kind of compare them, you know, from 10,000 kilometers away, from 2,000 kilometers away from Dijon, over these cameras. So our scorer will take a closer look and confirm to our competition control what that's going to be. But they have confirmed it as low. It's a 7, and Lola Grandjean, without needing to, has put herself in a hole here, from a 2-point advantage after the second end to a 2-point hole after the third.
Yeah, 5-point swing, isn't it? Especially if you drop low on the 12. So it is a big, big difference.
Well, and for compound archers, the 9 is almost a gimme. So it's a 2-point swing for a gimme. It's a bold strategy they're going with. It paid off in the first match, in the first game. Let's see how it plays out as we carry on with this one.
Yeah, very interesting indeed to see whether they will continue with this, because as you said, throughout the first semi-final and throughout this final, they have gone for it. It looks like we're ready. It's time for end number 4. So trailing now, Lola Grandjean will shoot first.
Allez, concentré, tu fais ça.
Right, well that already means that Chris Schaff could do this with a perfect 30. He shoots a 9 when the door opened. That's the first one for a while that Schaff's put in the 9. So now there's a bit of mathematics to be done between the two teams. Schaff knows that Arc System will need to shoot the 12 to get back in the match. He's clipped the 10 ring there by the looks of things. So Lola Grandjean, 12 points? Of course, of course. Lola Grandjean going for the 12. She needs it to put Chris Schaff under pressure and make him decide whether to go for the 12 or not. Well, we've got a oui there that we heard in France. They think it's the 12. I'm not sure if it is or it isn't. Again, Chris, exceptionally close, but we have to go to Chris Schaff's last shot. Now, what does he do? Chris Schaff's still got 1 arrow to go here. We're looking at the targets at the moment. You can see the final 3 arrows from Lola Grandjean. There is Chris Schaff. Is he going to go for the 12 or is he sticking with a 10? He's going for the 12. He's going for the win here. And he's hit it. What a brilliant shot. They've played it solid. They've played it safe. But when they needed to go for the 12, both times in the semi-final and now in the final, they have hit it. Chris, what a phenomenal last couple of arrows to finish this first match of the final.
Yeah, I think he's goaded him into that one. He took a long, hard look at it. They got a long, hard look at the at the targets before he had his decision to make, and he chose to go for it. Chris Schaff hasn't had to shoot that 12 ring much, but when he has, it has paid off for them. Fantastic match from Lola Grandjean, though. Shot 3 12s, just missed that one in the 7. Could have been a different match if she'd hit that one as well. But yeah, great performance of Chris Schaff. A bit of boldness on that last arrow takes him through to the win.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well, because obviously a 10 would have drawn them level because Grandjean shot the 12 and forced that. But, well, it shows that Team Eastern, they're happy to change their tactics. They're happy to go with that solid approach throughout, but when needed, they will go for the 12. So bonus points for Team Eastern in that first match, and outstanding performance from both the archers so far. Who have we got coming up next?
Well, we're going to go to Linda Ochoa-Anderson versus Adrian Gontier next, but before we get there, I just want to talk a bit about that score again, because we're going to wait for confirmation, final confirmation of the first match result, which is being approved by our scorers as we speak. The thing is, this is a new competition style. We haven't tested it before, with real archers. We don't really know how they're going to react and when their choice is going to be. And there we see the result. It is confirmed. 120 Chris Schaff, 118 Lola Grandjean, and their bonus point goes to Chris Schaff before we move to that second match. We didn't know how they were going to react to this style of competition, and the really interesting thing is maybe that single bonus point isn't enough to worry about. Chris Schaff didn't worry too much about losing that single point he would have had if he'd drawn it. He took the risk and went for it. Or he's just really confident in his own ability.
All practicing the 12 ring for a little bit later on when we'll see Chris Schaff in the team match. But as you say, Team Eastern grab the bonus point from match number 1. And we're sitting here waiting for match number 2. Linda Ochoa-Anderson against Adrian Gontier. And look, the ranges are ready. Let's get on with match number 2.
We should be on Linda Ochoa-Anderson first. So it's Linda Ochoa-Anderson that will kick us off. There we go.
Yeah, so the higher ranked team, Ochoa-Anderson, now in shot. Just going high and right. And now Adrian Gontier, captain of Arc System, will shoot his first arrow of the final. So eking out a 1-point lead, very early stages.
Elle joue pas les deux. Comme tu veux.
C'est toi qui vois.
Good support there from Wilde and Chris Schaff. Oh, look at that. I think that's the shot of the day when we're looking at the 10 ring, of course, from Adrian Gontier.
We've seen actually that bottom right target be a somewhat of a favourite for all of these archers. Seems to, it's triangular, it's not our usual style. It's normal a vertical triple spot as Linda Ochoa-Anderson. Now just one a little bit low. That'll be one we take a closer look at.
Yeah, that's subject to a measure. Been marked as a 10 initially, so 29 for her.
Allez, tu sais le faire, tranquille. Parfait.
So a perfect 30 to start the match from Adrian Gontier. Subject, of course, to confirmation, but it looks pretty solid to me. A 30 there, and now it's a question of whether it's a 28 or a 29 for Linda Ochoa-Anderson. Chris, your thoughts on Ochoa-Anderson's final arrow?
It looks like it's going to be given as a 10. We're just waiting for final confirmation, but more interesting is that Adrien Gontier, after that solid start from Ochoa-Anderson, chose to not aim for the 12. It's the first sign of, you know, sensibility coming from this French-based squad that we've had so far. It has been confirmed 30 plays 29 after M1. Interesting, different dynamic to this one.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think when he was shooting so well in the centre, seeing Ochoa-Anderson's first arrow going into the 9, maybe that sensible approach is the right one at this stage. And, you know, if he does that in every single end, well, they're going to get a bonus point and level things up for the finals. But, look, they're down there clearing the range, and we're only at the end of the first end. Let's go straight back to the ranges for end number 2.
Allez, Adrien.
Allez, mec.
So Ochoa-Anderson trailing by 1 after the first end will shoot first. Just about clipping the 10 ring by the looks of things.
Allez, mec. Ouais, mec.
Solid. Hasn't missed that 2 centimetre ring yet.
C'est du made in France.
Allez, le mène sur celle-là.
So another 9 for Ochoa-Anderson. Can Adrien Gontier keep up his form, and will he stick to the new tactics of not going for the 12? So a dropped point for the first time from Gontier.
And Ochoa-Anderson shooting much better in this final than she did in the semi-final. It was a little uncomfortable. Had a couple of 27s to start off.
That one is close as well. I think that's going to be marked as a 9. It is at the moment a 28. So an opportunity for another point here. Gontier just going for regulation 10. Looks like he's pulled a 9 there as well. So 28 plays 28 for me. Chris, are you in agreement?
And no doubts there. I think they're all quite clear cut. And again, a little bit of a nervy second end. You know, they're no one interested in surrendering anything to the other team here.
Yeah, not wanting to take a risk.
Yeah. In deep contrast to the French squad in that first game.
Yeah, I agree with you. But actually, thinking about it, trying to think back to Gontier's performance in that semi-final, perhaps he wasn't as confident with the 12 as the other two were, or wasn't as brave in going for it and wanted to stick to a more solid tactic that we've seen from Team Eastern. So, you know, I suppose there's a little bit of the unknown as to what's going through the team's minds here.
It didn't work out for Gontier in the first game he shot today, so, you know, why push it here, especially if his opponent, Ochoa-Anderson, is, you know, shooting well but not shooting more than the 30 points that would be a standard maximum in normal competition. He doesn't need to. He just needs to hit 10s to stay advantage, maybe try and force something from his opponent. It's a real way to affect the dynamic of the match here when you've got that choice, and it's a high-risk, high-reward choice.
Perhaps the prediction that you might have seen in more normal times is not there because they haven't had the experience of facing each other quite so often, and obviously this is a fairly new concept still, even though it's the second tournament that we're using it in. But halfway stage, 58 for Arc System, 57 for Team Eastern. Let's go to end number 3. So Ochoa-Anderson ready and waiting, trailing by a single point. Well, she just keeps hitting the same spot in that bottom left target. And it's much the same for Adrian Gontier in that bottom left target. Another close one, but I think that's going to be a 9 for Ochoa-Anderson. It's been marked as a 10, I think, but I'm not sure about that. Chris, your thoughts?
No, I think that's clipped the bottom of the line, Karim. She's shot 8 arrows so far, and 6 of them are below the center line. That's what they say. If you're below the center of the line, you've got a little high, just give it a click, raise it up.
Well, no question on that one.
Allez, Adrien.
Non, mais en tout cas. Let's go.
Longer hold, well. That one is close as well. Been marked as a 10 for a perfect 30 for Ochoa-Anderson, so what can Adrian Gontier do here? Elected not to go for the 12, gets the 10, gets a perfect 30, so subject to confirmation. Arc System still lead this second match by a single point after 3 ends. Chris, are you happy with a perfect score being called for Linda Ochoa-Anderson on the left-hand side of the screen?
That's why compound archers shoot those fat 9.3mm diameter arrows, just to catch the bottom edge of those small lines and get those line cutters. All it has to do is break the line. It's a little bit deceiving using these targets because, as you might see, we've blackened that center 10 ring a little bit more than usual, just so we can make it out better on the screen. So while it might look slightly out, it might just have caught enough because that 10 ring's a little bit wider than usual. So it has been confirmed, and importantly, it's Linda Ochoa who will shoot first again in this 4th end, which means Adrian Gontier will have the decision of what he does with the last arrow. I think timing and when you shoot also comes into this, especially when there's that extra choice and that extra strategy of what you shoot at.
So if we come down to 4 arrows being shot through this and we're still with a 1-point gap, it'll be interesting to see what's called. Let's go straight to its end, number 4. So Ochoa-Anderson, trailing by a single point, will shoot first in this final end.
Non, je pense à moitié. Allez, simple et efficace.
So
Allez, mec.
10
Là, tu sais le
to
faire.
start.
Simple et efficace.
C'est faire.
And
Allez, mec.
if this goes the way we're expecting it, we're going to see the final arrows being the crucial ones here from both of these archers. Well,
Allez,
that
tranquille.
has thrown the cat right amongst the pigeons. Everything square now, And it's a chance here, because Ochoa-Anderson's shooting first, it's time for her to put the pressure on Gontier. Well, the yes called at the Team Eastern end.
Allez,
Et va chercher ça.
allez mec, tu sais faire.
A 10 for Ochoa-Anderson.
Là, tu sais faire. Des choses simples.
Can Gontier match it?
Ouais mec, ça c'est bien.
Well, he can, so we're all square. Now, what does Linda Ochoa-Anderson call here? Regulation 10.
Allez, Adrien.
Deep breath. Got a great view of the process Ochoa-Anderson goes through with this angle. Straight into the 10 and a big yes from her teammates. A perfect 30, the second in a row for Ochoa-Anderson to finish on 117.
Fais le 12, ouais papa.
And of course they're going for it. Adrien Gontier calls the 12. He's got to hit it, otherwise the bonus point goes to Team Eastern.
Tu sais faire.
Pas d'hésitation.
Oh, he has gone for it, and that is exceptionally close. Chris, is the fat arrow going to win the day for the French team here?
I'm not going to call that an interesting decision though, because if he'd gone for the 10 and hit it, that would be 117 apiece and a shared bonus point for each team. This one, it's on the line. It's very, very close. Our scorer's not confident enough to call it, and we're waiting for that to come in. But there's also that questionable one on Linda Ochoa's side as well. The bottom left, she's been, you know, excavating a deep black cavern on the bottom of the 10 ring, and there's going to need to be some clarification there as well. So decisions to be made on both targets for this.
Wow, you called it there. You can see the phone being pushed forward onto the target on the left, and that is because that photographic evidence is now being sent to our official scorer for the bottom left target. Look, it won't make too much of a difference if that's a 9 or a 10 if that is not a 12 on the top target on the right.
My personal opinion is that top right, the top target on the right, the Adrien Gontier's bold approach at the 12 ring is going to be called in, and he'll take this. But I actually think that one on the bottom left of Linda Ochoa might be called out. It wasn't. It's been confirmed as a 10, but Adrien Gontier has got that 12, and he has taken this match with a bold last arrow.
Stunning stuff. We thought it was going to come down to the last arrows. Ochoa-Anderson, we saw her take a deep breath before her final arrow. I don't think that was necessarily a huge sign of confidence about the decision that was made just to go for the 10, but she still shot the 10, got it, got a perfect 30, and then Gontier, well, a little wry smile on his face. Yeah, I'm just going to go for the win here and go for the bonus points. 119 plays at 117 is the result in the second match, and the bonus point for Arc System. So we're all square, as you can see right here. A summary of the two matches so far. Schaff winning by 2 points in the first match, and Gontier winning by 2 points in the second, but the slate is wiped clean. The bonus points will go on to the start of the team match, but we've got one more individual to come. This is fascinating, Chris.
I think so too. I mean, there's really, a game of choice here, a game of risk and reward, and both archers are playing it by going for it, by not going for it. It does affect the outcome of the team match. Imagine if you've got that bonus to start, it also changes how you play. Although in Arc System's case, we've seen a lot more willingness to go for the 12. So maybe it doesn't affect that. Maybe they've chosen their path.
Yeah, they certainly have. Well, let's see what path is chosen. It's time for match number 3. Real contrast here. Rio Wilde shooting for Team Eastern at his home range. Rather fabulous looking home range. He's played the solid, non-risky approach to this match, this format in the semi-finals. I think he's going to stick with it here. it's time for the start of the third individual match of this compound final. Solid start, as we've come to expect from Rio Wilde. Now, conversely, we move over to Nicolas Girard. I think his new name is Nicolas Douze Girard for his first shot. And going for it straight away. Putting down a marker at the start of this third individual match. Well, that looks to me like it's out, Chris, and that will be a 7, won't it?
Looks like it's out, Karim, and that will really, play into Rio's hands here. He doesn't want to have to go for the 12 unless he has to, and he doesn't need to now. He's got a 3-point advantage. Girard didn't miss that in his first individual match in the semi-final, what we saw earlier. So an early 7 here, an early miss of that 12 ring really puts him on the back foot.
Yeah, breathing space for Rio Wilde, even with that 9.
Il est là ou elle est ici? Nickel.
Bon, bah, c'est bon. C'est bien, mec.
So 2 9s in the first. Well, it hasn't made too much of a difference here because, of course, Girard can't go for the 12 again. So the maximum he can score here is 27. But perhaps Wilde hasn't taken as much of an opportunity here as he might have done. 10 to finish for Girard, so 28 plays 27, subject to confirmation from our official scorer, of course. So Chris, a number of things to unwrap here. Firstly, Rio Wilde not taking as much of an advantage of 7 points from Nicolas Girard in his first arrow.
Yeah, and it was really about that top shot, the difference between a 9 and a 10 is only 1 point, but it's a cavern on the target face, a chasm, sorry, not a cavern, a chasm. It's a really, really wide shot, high and right. It's very unusual for Rio, 3-time world indoor champion, when that event was still being run, very, very successful archer. And he didn't look particularly off. He didn't look particularly, like something went wrong. He just must have flinched off the middle or not been settled when the arrow went off. And it flung high and right. And that means, despite Girard scoring a 7, he's only 1 point behind after 3 arrows. Surprising.
Yeah, and the other thing to unwrap is the order of going for the 12. But we'll unwrap that because it's already time for end number 2. So trailing is Nicolas Girard, going for it again on the first arrow. This is bold. A longer hold, and he has shot the 12. Now the thing here is, by shooting it first, he's forcing out Rio Wilde. Wilde, calm, steady, cool, collected. Just going to stick to his game. Pulled out to the right there, and I think there may have been a bit of attempted manoeuvring from Rio Wilde. Chris mentioned about the order of shooting this 12, and we've perhaps seen why Girard has elected to go for it in the first arrow in both of the first 2 ends.
And I was going to say that it doesn't really force Rio to do anything, but that 9 changes the dynamic yet again. He's trailing by 2 points at this stage, with 2 of his arrows left to shoot. If he shoots another 9 here, wouldn't be surprised if we see his first attempt at the 12 spot.
And it is another 9, and you said it, there's it's Wilde from Rio Wilde. The big hole there on the bottom right target might be a little bit deceiving. It's been marked as a 9 by our official scorer, so that's a 58 total so far for Arc System. He's thinking about it. He's thought about it. Rio Wilde is going for the 12. He's gone for it once in this semi-final final day today, and he's hit it once. Close, but I don't think that's in there. He can be happy that I think he's going to get an 8 from it. So hasn't perhaps lost as much as he could have done, but that looks to me to be out. Chris, what are you thinking?
It'll be many years since Rio Wilde, all those world records on the wall, hanging up in those frames, even going back to before the World Archery logo, to the FITA logo, back when World Archery was called by its French name in pre-2009 times. He won't have shot a 26 indoors for a long, long time. Not a great end from Rio Wilde, and made all the worse by the fact Girard shot a 31 and completely turned this match on its head. Now a 4-point advantage for the Frenchman, but we've seen how fast things can swing. And if Girard continues to go for that 12, well, he doesn't particularly need to with such a wide advantage. You know, it could disappear in an instant.
Okay, so you've kind of stolen my thunder there, because now, I was just about to say Girard has no need to go for the 12 anymore, but will he anyway?
We've seen nothing but boldness from this French group. Looking forward to seeing what happens in end number 3.
Yeah, well, it's time to find out whether Arc System are going to stick with these bold tactics. It's time for end number 3. Well, we'll have to wait to see what Nicolas Girard does in his first arrow, because trailing, it's Team Eastern and Rio Wilde. So a 10 from Wilde, and the first time Girard doesn't call for the 12 ring on his first arrow. Now, has he switched targets? He hasn't. It's stayed with the top target, and that looks like it's right on the line there. It probably will get marked as a 10, but we'll just have to wait and see. Well, there we go. He's stepped out from the safety of regulation archery. He's going for the 12 spot. Rio Wilde on his second arrow. That is close, but I think it's out again. But he's playing the percentages really well, because I think he's got another 8 there rather than a 7. So what does Nicolas Girard do? Well, we know he can't go for the 12 because he's already shot the top target. So on for a regulation perfect 30 here. And Wilde can only get 28. And that is exactly what he's got, a 28. So going for the 12 means that Team Eastern have dropped 2 points further back, potentially, if Girard can shoot another 10. And it is a perfect 30, subject to confirmation, of course, and that puts Arc System in a commanding 6-point lead. Chris, first time that there's been a proactive response from Team Eastern, and it just didn't work out for them.
Rio was running out of options and running out of arrows in this match, trailing by so many points. He had to start going for the 12, and he's missed it, but he's missed it high. Stopped the bleeding too much, but very little chance to come back into this one. I was just thinking maybe we should have had a second level, 2 bonus points if you win by 5 points or something. But this end still matters, of course, for Rio, because it's the team match that will decide the outcome of this contest. He needs to get his eye in, and not just on the 10 ring, on the 12 ring as well. Hasn't hit it yet in this match, despite 2 attempts at it, and it might be needed given how the Arc System group are shooting. It might be needed in our decider next.
And do you think it might actually affect the order of Team Eastern for the team competition, that all-important team competition?
Well, we're only seeing Chris Schaff hit the 12 from Team Eastern in this final so far. Wouldn't be surprised if the team captain steps up to take his shot at that one. But that'll come after this. That'll come after end number 4.
Yeah, well, 6-point gap. It's time for end number 4. So trailing by 6 points. A practice shot, one has to say here, for Rio Wilde, going for the 12. Perhaps he heard you, Chris, and he's trying to prove you wrong. Well, he didn't manage it because that's left, and I think that's in the 7 as well.
Girard, an arrow up now, just a procession to the end. I wonder if he'll shoot the top spot first, or he'll leave that for last, just in case he can have one last practice at it.
Oh yeah, you might be right, Chris, because he's gone bottom left for the first time for his first arrow, and he's hit the 10.
So these scores don't matter at all. I wouldn't be surprised to see something cheeky like more attempts at the 12 ring. Only 1 arrow allowed in each spot in indoor archery. If more than 1 arrow lands in one spot, there's all kinds of complications to decide which one gets counted. But in this match, where it's only bonus points that matter, that's all we're worried about. And Girard's going to take this as long as nothing goes disastrously wrong.
Well, it hasn't gone disastrously wrong so far. 2 10s put him on 108. 108 is all that Rio Wilde can score, and that's if he gets a 10 with this arrow. But are we going to see something cheeky here? No, we're not. We're going to see something brilliant right in the centre of the target. What a way to finish for Rio Wilde. 108, as you can see now, Girard, all Girard has to do is hit the target. No, why not? Go for the 12. Practice for the team match. Is it going to be 120 that he finishes on, the regulation maximum score? Yes, I think it is. It is Nicolas Girard who's hit the 12 again, and he takes the 3rd match. Always subject to confirmation from the official scorer, but I think Chris and I can be fairly confident that the bonus points in match number 3 will go to Arc System, and they will go into the team match, the deciding team match for the championship. 2 bonus points to 1 up. Chris, are we going to start calling Nicolas Girard?
Well, it's not just the fact he can hit the 12, it's the fact he's going for it first. He's really thought about this, because it changed the dynamic of the score, but changed the dynamic of the end as well. And because he went for that 12 early and hit it, it's a gamble, but it's a gamble that paid off, and Rio hits a couple of 9s. He's trailing by so much when it comes to the third arrow of his second end, the 6th arrow, that he just has no choice. So by taking the initiative early and by hitting that 12 ring, Nicolas Girard is dictating the pace of his match, and Arc System is dictating the pace of this game as we head into the decider.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I think that we probably have had confirmation now of those scores. I think we already knew that the bonus point was going to go to Arc System, and they will go into that team match 2 points to 1 up. So this fascinating use of the 12 points has really worked out for Arc System. This order now for Team Eastern, do you think it's going to change?
Well, Chris Schaff's been the most successful on the 12 ring. We just saw Wilde have 3 attempts at it and miss it each time. Like we've seen before, in this team match, they're only shooting 1 arrow per end. So only one archer can have a go at the 12 ring. It's not like someone else can step up and make up for a miss. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them change the order, have Chris Schaff go last, maybe Linda Ochoa open. We'll see what they do, as there's confirmation of the results from those 3 individual matches. Good scores from Lola Grandjean, Adrien Gontier and Nicolas Girard, 18, 19 and a 20. Chris Schaff taking the 1 bonus point for Eastern against Lola Grandjean, and Gontier and Girard taking 2 total against Linda and Rio. So it'll be Eastern that starts first in this team final.
Yeah, it certainly will. We need to just go and check, don't we, to see whether the teams are going to stick with that order. Are we able to get to the ranges, or are we going straight into the match, Chris?
Right, these guys have done it before. They're ready to go. We're going to go straight in unexpectedly. Chris Schaff going to lead us off for Eastern.
Yeah, it's time for the all-important team match. So the bonus points there added at the bottom of your screen. 1 to Team Eastern, 2 to Arc System. Schaff starting with a 10. The Grandjean dropping just down into the 9.
Je sais le faire, chose simple et efficace.
So all square already. Just clipping the left of the 10 ring, marked as a 10.
Chose simple et efficace. Nous la colle dedans.
So team captain of Arc System. Adrien Gontier, he also hits the left side of the 10 ring.
Allez Nico.
Mais pas annoncé.
Ouais.
Allez, qui a?
And hands over to the team captain for Team Eastern.
C'est stylé comme jaune.
And just clipping the 10 ring again. 3 clips of the ring, that's all they need.
Allez mec.
And of course, Nicolas Girard is going for the 12 ring. Just resetting there. Well done, sir. Yet again, he's hit the 12 ring. They came into the team match 2 bonus points to 1 up. And subject to confirmation, they've extended that lead by another point to lead by 2. And it's all down to hitting the 12 ring. Chris, it was obvious that Nicolas Girard was going to go for that one, wasn't it?
Well, absolutely. Why not? They've got plenty of length in this match to come back if he misses it, and that's the kind of approach they've shown so far. So despite Lola Grandjean just surrendering that 1 point lead they had from the bonus points coming into it, it's all played out, and Nicolas Girard's hit that 12 and extended that lead by an additional point after 3 arrows. It's not many arrows in this final to decide what happens, and that bonus point could be the decider in the end.
Yeah, it could be, and I think they are gonna be in a position where they're forcing the American team out to come and play and be proactive, especially as they're going to be shooting first. I think we are already ready to go for end number 2. So Chris Schaff shooting first for Team Eastern, and there we have confirmation they trail by 2 points. Straight into the middle.
Allez, des choses simples. Elle est simple et efficace. Tu la lâches,
Allez,
elle est
ouais.
dedans celle-là.
Elle est grande. Ouais, c'est bien tiré.
Go big, and Lola Grandjean has gone left, so conceding another point.
Allez,
The first arrow of the second end we hand over
Chose
to
simple.
Linda Ochoa-Anderson.
Allez,
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 mec.
tu vas le chercher celui-là.
In an angle, but it's a 10 for Linda Ochoa.
Ouais, simple et efficace.
No misses of the central ring from Team Eastern through 5 arrows.
C'est bien, c'est bien.
That one's
Allez,
high,
mec.
like the first one, so we are all square again. Are we going to see a repeat of the first end? Rio sticking with his risk-averse tactic, just sticking with the 10 ring. Oh, now he's hit a 9. Now what does Nicolas Girard do? Does he go for the 10, or is he going to go for 12 again? Of course, he's going to go for the 12 again. He loves it. And we love watching him doing it. Just setting himself up again for it. This time he's not hit it, and this time he's dropped into the 7. And you said it, Chris, these matches can swing one way and another very, very quickly. Hitting a 7 here, well, it's put Arc System from a fairly good lead into a 2-point deficit.
Yeah, 9 would have been
Ouais,
good
deux
enough
points.
there to keep it tied at 60 points apiece. Eastern have been confirmed at 60 at the halfway point in this team final. They've chosen to be bold. They're going to live or die by it, but he's dropped low, and he's dropped to the worst possible result, really. A 7 instead of a 12. And that's a 2-point guaranteed swing almost, and a 5-point swing in the match. Now trailing by 2, but of course, Girard will be going for it in the next end. And if Eastern stick on that 10 ring and we get a good performance, they'll be right back in this when we get into the final. 3 hours.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation, and are they going to stick with their tactics here in this final? Rio Wilde, Linda Ochoa-Anderson and Chris Schaff taking the lead as we wait for the confirmation, which has now come in 60 points to 58 up Team Eastern. We're at the halfway stage of the final, and I think they are looking like they are nearly ready at the 2 ranges in the USA and France. So let's go to end number 3. So Lola Grandjean on the shooting line.
Allez, Gontier.
Allez, mec.
Pareil, tu vas bien.
Well, there we have it. All of a sudden, Arc System have closed the gap by 1.
Tu sais le faire, c'est
Physical
ça.
miss from Chris Schaff. Gontier needs to take advantage though.
Oui. C'est ça.
Et ma gueule.
Allez, mec.
Solid
That
now.
means
Tu
it's
fais, tu sais. Annonce.
Go ahead,
from
Chris.
Adrian Gontier.
Well, high from Ochoa-Anderson.
Tu sais faire.
T'es un killer du 12. C'est sûr de toi.
12 killer.
Allez.
And
Allez, mec.
we're going for the 12 here to turn this one around. He's hit it once. He's missed it once.
Yes!
He's hit it again. It's another brilliant shot from Nicolas Girard, and a 32, the new maximum possible with this 12-pointer. And look at that. It has to happen. Rio Wilde has to go for the 12 here. If he gets it, the scores will be tied going into the final end. He's gone for it. There was a yes from Chris Schaff, I think, in the background. It looks like he's got it, and it looks like they've ended up with 30, and we have an all-tied match, subject, of course, to the scorer confirming it. Arrows removed at the Dijon range. Chris, a fascinating use of the 12 ring again.
Girard, they're just piling the pressure on. 32 points to bring it up to 90. But the Team Eastern responding. Rio didn't have the best individual match. They've left him in that anchor position, third in the rotation. First 12 they've called upon. He's absolutely delivered to keep this level. They've obviously got a breaking point, right? In the third and fourth ends, they don't want to be trailing too much, and they've got us in a position where, with 3 hours left to go in this game, this hour-long game, we're all tied.
Yeah, fascinating. It is just stunning, and I think the use of this 12, well, I hope it continues into the future and finds its way into regular competitions. Absolutely brilliant. It might upset a few of the purists, of course, but I, for one, love it. All square between Team Eastern, 90 points apiece, and Arc System also on 90 points. So let's go to the fourth and final end. So it's come down to this, 3 arrows from each team for the Compound Indoor World Series title. Chris Schaff has been solid here. Another 10. Pressure switches over to Dijon in France and Lola Grandjean.
C'est pas grave.
Well,
C'est pas grave.
it's very, very wide, but it is still marked as a 9.
Non, non, pardon. Des choses qu'on sait faire, c'est pas grave.
Much closer to the 10 ring than Lola Grandjean's, but the same result on the scoreboard, 9 points, and Adrian Gontier just needs a 10 to level it with 1 left to go.
Oui.
And he's got the 10. Look, we know that Nicolas Girard is going to go for the 12 to take the win here. So will Rio Wilde risk it and go for the 12 himself? Or risk it and go for the 10? What's he doing?
In the background. They haven't decided, have they?
Yes, they have. Rio Wilde is going for 12 here. Now, I fancy he's going to have to hit this because I think Girard has got his eye in on it. Let's see what Rio Wilde can do. He's hit the 12. He's definitely hit the 12 there. And they finish with 121. Of course, Mr. 12 is going to go for it. Nicolas Girard in Dijon. Oui, monsieur. He's going for the 12. He needs it to draw level and create a fascinating shoot-off final here. Oh, brilliant! He's hit it as well. Oh, now, Chris, I don't want to get overexcited here, but it looks to me like both of them have hit the 12 here to finish. Would you agree with that first?
What an incredible finish. Rio Wilde pulling something out of the bag. He knew Girard was going to go for it, so he went for it as well. Talk about dictating the terms of the match, and talk about, not waiting to lose. Fantastic shooting from Rio Wilde, and what a response from Girard. But let's just confirm that bottom left arrow. I think it's clipped it, and that would mean we're all tied after this hour-long game, and we go to a shoot-off. But let's just confirm the scores and make sure that's the case, because then we've got to remember what the shoot-off rules are, Karen.
Oh, no, you've got to remember what the shoot-off rules are. A fabulous match, and it's all been building up to this, and we were having a little joke offline about, after all this time, an hour-long match, is it going to come down to 1 hour, and could it possibly come down to 1 hour? And of course, we were both hoping at some point it would. What a perfect time for it to happen for the first time. We will have a shoot-off, and it looks like it has been confirmed. 121 plays 121 in the final of the compound team event. So how does the shoot-off work?
Well, I can tell you, Karim, it's simply one archer from each team, and they're only going to shoot one arrow, and it's closest to the middle wins. So after all of this archery, after all of these arrows, it comes down to one shot, and the 12 ring is out of play. It's simply closest to the middle of any of the targets. They can shoot whichever spot they want, but closest to the middle of the target wins. It's a big finish, a lot of pressure. So we need to go to the teams and see who the team captains are nominating to take that single shot.
Yeah, well, let's go and find out. We need to go to the Rio Wilde home range and to the range in Dijon. Well, it looks like they've already made their selections. It's Chris Schaff in the USA standing on the shooting line, and it's Nicolas Girard in Dijon who will shoot for Arc System. Chris, am I right in thinking that it will be Chris Schaff who will shoot first in this shoot-off?
As the top-seeded team in this event, Eastern will go first in any tied situation. So Chris Schaff will lead us off. But just to reiterate, the 12 ring is completely out of play. It's just closest to the middle in this, the deciding shoot-off.
Well, this is it. It's come down to one arrow between Team Eastern and Arc System. It's time for the shoot-off. So all of this for the title compound team indoor world champions. Chris Schaff hits the 10 ring. It's not quite on the spider, but it's exceptionally close. So we go to Dijon and Nicolas Girard. Can he get closer and take this title? Now, different targets, so the angles are slightly different, but that is a really close one, Chris. A really close one indeed. Do you have a feel for who has taken this?
I'm laughing because the decision's coming down to our competition control, who's going to take a look at a photo of those two arrows. They're the same width diameter arrows, so comparing the inside to the outside can be done. They can take a really good look at how close that is to the X ring. If a decision can't be made, they'll make a decision to shoot a second shoot off. But he's going to take a really, really close look, and I'm not sure which way that one's going to go. It's so difficult because the angle is so low, and there's slightly different angles into the target, slightly different spots in the 10 ring. But it looks like we've made a decision. It looks like it's been confirmed as Arc System in France. Nicolas Girard, Mr. 12, has taken this one.
I cannot quite believe what I have just seen here. And I think you're right. For the high fives that are going on in the range in Dijon, it looks like Arc System have been awarded this by the official scorer. What a brilliant match, and what a brilliant finish from Arc System. They take it in a shoot-off after a 121-121 match with Team Eastern, and they're all lined up and ready to speak to you, Chris.
And the whole gang's there as well. We've got the archers, we've got the scorer, and we've got the coach behind, Sébastien Brasseur. Can you hear us, guys? Can you hear us? Well, what a fantastic performance. How do you feel?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. 3.
Comment vous vous sentez?
I'm happy. We are cool.
And
It's very funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
you didn't go away from your plan to shoot the 12 at every opportunity, and one man made the difference there. How important was Nicolas to you today?
Quoi ça nous a donné?
The 12.
Yeah, does Nicolas, do you like your new nickname, Monsieur Douze?
Monsieur 12.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Congratulations. You are the Indoor Archery World Series champions at 2,250 Swiss francs for a nice night in details. So congratulations, and thanks for taking part, and congratulations on win.
Yeah, fabulous stuff there from Arc System. And look, a quick word with Team Eastern in Rio's house. Guys, commiserations, but I mean, what a great match to be involved in.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, we had to pull out and shoot certain things when we did, and everybody shot good.
And you, Rio, you made that decision to shoot the 12 with your last arrow of the regulation of the team. How difficult was it to make that decision?
Well, we knew that they would. I mean, that's kind of where we were at, and I would rather have a chance to win than to just not even try.
No, absolutely. And congratulations, Guy. You made it really entertaining for us all to watch. I hope you enjoyed shooting this rather strange format. Yeah, and thank you for making it such a fun and flexible competition today. Well done.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
How sporting. Brilliant stuff there, and congratulations indeed to Arc System. A 121-121 final with Team Eastern, and then a shoot-off that saw our newly named Mr. 12 take the Team Arc System to the title this year. Chris, brilliant final.
There's only one thing to talk about is Nicolas Girard. He was fantastic. The reason they won their semi-final match, he forced the Team Eastern off their comfort zone, made them shoot the 12, and they delivered when necessary. But under pressure, no one else to beat. He delivered a fantastic arrow, slightly closer to the middle, to win it all for his team. A fantastic job by Nicolas Girard and Team Arc System.
Yeah, fabulous job. Thanks to you, Chris, and thanks to all of you for joining us here on Compound Saturday. We do it all again tomorrow on Recurve Sunday, with the semi-finals starting at around about 4 p.m. Central European Time. We'll see you then.